Wizard 101 is a game that I grew up on. I remember playing it with my best buddy after school. I remember the first times I stayed up late at night playing a dungeon in Sunken City because we couldn't beat it because we sucked at the game. We're stupid kids. But it means a lot to me. Those memories mean a lot to me. And now that I've gotten older, I've gone back and checked out the game a couple times again, and I'm happy to say I think it's just gotten better. Alright, so we'll start out with the obvious. I'm biased as fuck. I have nostalgia goggles on in maximum when I'm playing this game, because I played it when I was a kid. It was like my favorite game other than Toontown. So yeah, my opinion may be a little skewed, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna completely ignore problems with the game. That being said, the point of this video isn't to nitpick the game and the developers. There's still problems with it, especially if you're a PvPer, but frankly, I'm not, and most people aren't either. What I like to mention is that the quality of life of the game and the story has gotten massively better over the years. One of my favorite additions is they've gone back to all of the old areas and added in teleporters that help you navigate around much more quickly instead of just constantly having to run everywhere. There's also more mount options, and mount options can go above 40% speed, which I'm pretty sure was the hard cap when I played as a kid. Now you can get up to like 55% or something, but you'll probably have to spend some money to do so. But we should really jump into why it's still worth playing instead of just quality of life changes for people who already played the game. At its core, it's an MMORPG, and it's turn-based, and those two genres alone I know will turn off a lot of players. It's also subscription-based, which means you gotta pay monthly, and that means there's a lot of kids' dreams who were shattered when they realized you couldn't leave the free-to-play area for the first time. There's also a microtransaction currency called crowns, which you can use to buy the areas permanently, although it'll end up being quite expensive unless you're playing for a long time, like literal years. But crowns can be used to buy mounts, cosmetic stuff, and pay to win in PvP if you are so inclined. Seriously, I'm not even going to talk about this game's PvP. There's a lot of other YouTubers who have their own complaints about it and stuff, and a lot of people who actually play it unlike me, so we're going to skip that. Just know that if you want to do PvP, I have two words for you. Good luck. So now I want to talk about a couple things that the game actually has going for it pretty well. I don't use Reddit much anymore, but the subreddit for it is phenomenally active and has some of the best memes of any game subreddit I've ever been on. It's honestly phenomenal. I highly recommend checking out their subreddit for a while. Even if you don't play anymore, it's funny as hell. So the community is surprisingly active and helpful, especially if you want to get into any of the other things like crafting or pet hatching or stuff that you might need other guides, other tips for, or if you actually might need other people for, like hatching with someone's pet. So what I'm saying is the game's not dead. It's very alive. It's not cringe either, okay? Man, my wizard kid game is not cringe. It's not cringe, okay? But this is. I'm not gonna really talk about the story for the sake of spoilers, but it gets pretty good and it gets a lot darker as the game progresses. I mean, the game makes you come to terms with the fact that you cannot save everyone. I don't want to make this video super long, and it's not supposed to be a super detailed analysis, so what I want to talk about lastly is the spells. The game does a really good job of making you feel like an actual badass as you level up and get new spells. You go from casting these little imps that play music on people and these little elves that shoot people with an arrow to summoning this like flaming bull that charges at them. The animations start getting a lot cooler, and of course your spells start getting better. You get a lot more AoEs that target all of the enemies at the same time, but of course, most importantly, they look cool. The real last thing I want to touch on is the references though. Especially as you progress into the later game, there's so many references to pop culture, whether it be to movies, video games, television shows, books. I'll just link this wiki page in the description that I'm looking at, but there's so many fun ones, like an NPC named Zergrush has a reference to StarCraft. There's That 70s Show reference. There's references to Bob's Burgers, The Breakfast Club, Saving Private Ryan. I remember playing through a world that specifically was like Aladdin themed. And according to the page, I just found out that there's a Pink Floyd reference too, which makes the game even better in my book. Anyways, I've been wanting to make a video on Wizard 101 for a while now because I fucking love this game, to be frank. But it's hard to find people to play with sometimes, and you know what? I will be frank that sometimes the turn-based can just get a little boring. It's definitely a game that's better for having a second monitor and watching a movie on the side or something. Anyways, I don't expect this video to get any traction or for anyone to even really watch for this long, but if you did, just know that I highly appreciate you, and it'd be really nice if you click that subscribe button, you know? Working my way up here, slowly. The like button too, you gotta drive up that engagement, you know? Get me in that algorithm, that'd be nice. But either way, I appreciate you staying with me for this long, so this is Bryce, signing off. I hope you have a wonderful night.